big play from the rookie Kyle Hamilton the entire year. Comes up with the stick, the scoop, and now it's the Ravens' ball there in business.
Instead of the Bengals getting the late score in the half, it's the Ravens who do. It's 10-9 Cincinnati at the break. Then it's Burrow, and then it's Jamar Chase on the sideline.
I don't know about you, but if I was on defense, I'd cover that guy.
And then it's Joe Burrow sneaking it in from the one from the score.
Sneaks will be important.
Words. Yeah, that's the most important word. Bengals go for the 2. They get it. They're up 17-10. Now, Huntley, wide open. Demarcus Robinson.
Hey, it's double move on Eli Apple. Easy score, throw and catch. Huntley filling it.
So we're all tied up. Fourth quarter. Ravens ball again. Huntley, he can take off and run.
Listen, we've seen this with Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley is much like him when you talk about running the football. A called quarterback run gets you down to the goal line.
But here's the play they'll be talking about forever. That is Huntley trying to go over the top. And it is punched out to Sam Hubbard.
Yes, Sam Hubbard is like, please block somebody. Please block him. And now we go, look at that piano on his back. But he got in there, didn't he?
The kid from
the oxygen.
The kid from Cincinnati. Look at that. It's a good call. He just barely misses extending it over the line. Hubbard takes it the other way, reminiscent of James Harrison in a Super Bowl once upon a time. Final chance, Bengals. Huntley drops back. Actually almost had a chance at the miracle.
You know what? I wouldn't have been surprised if this football was caught, but it was on John Harbaugh and the offense not executing in the 2 minute that put them in that position.
The sigh of relief. Joe Burrow survives and advances.
Yeah, there's never any panic. We've been in these spots before. We've been in these big moments. Understand that we have guys that are going to go make plays in moments like that. And so that gives us a lot of faith to just stay within ourselves, do our jobs, and come out with W's.
No matter how hard you tried, Dan Orlovsky, it was impossible for last night not to be in large part about the absence of Lamar Jackson. And there were several players afterwards on the Ravens who said if Lamar had been here with us, I don't mean that they're criticizing him. They're just making the point. If they had Lamar Jackson, they would have won that game last night. Dan, is there any question in your mind they would have?
No question. Lamar's that special of a player. We know that. And the way that their defense played against Cincinnati, you got to credit Baltimore. Because Huntley played well. The way their defense, and the reality is this, going into the game, I was like, this is not a football game that the Ravens can win unless they find a way to get the ball from Cincinnati. And all of a sudden, Kyle Hamilton comes up, pops that ball out from Hayden Hurst, and they give him a short field. The Ravens played a very good football game. The reality is this, Cincinnati's quarterback, Joe Burrow, knows exactly, and I've said this all year about him, how to play versus a certain team. And he was very aware, like, as long as he doesn't hold on to the football or give it away or make a poor decision with it and get reckless, they can't win the game. They hit the double move to Robinson. That kind of keeps that game very close. But the fact that Lamar doesn't play totally makes this game one-sided. The reality is this. Cincinnati has massive issues on their offensive line, and the Baltimore Ravens have a ton of question marks headed into this offseason.
Let me give you a couple of notes here, meanwhile, Rex, on the Bengals' offensive line, okay? So for the overwhelming majority of this season, they were healthy, they were intact, and they were much better. Their first 15 games, they had the same group starting every single week. And since then, you see it on your screen, they suffer all these injuries. Is that offensive line good enough for the Bengals to have any chance to get through Buffalo next week?
I don't think so. And, I mean, you're hoping the left tackle comes back, Williams comes back. But no, they're not. They can't protect the quarterback. Look, the simple fact is this was not a one-sided game. Well, it might have been one-sided in Baltimore's favor.
Yep.
They outpassed them. They outrushed them. They did all that stuff. They had an incredibly bad play where they were going to score. That's a 14-point flip in this game. Look, Cincinnati is lucky they're advancing.
So we're going to get the matchup that we didn't get to see on that Monday night a few weeks ago. With you're by now well aware of all the things that happened. Instead of in Cincinnati, it'll be in Buffalo, but we'll see those two teams go head-to-head next weekend. In the meantime, RC, I think a lot of fans were probably like I was when Melissa Stark said before the game, Lamar Jackson, in fact, did not even make the trip with the team. I must admit, that struck me. What should a fan take from that?
Guys, you've been in relationships, and you know when those relationships get close to the end, you start seeing signs. Lamar Jackson has been quiet about his injury the entire time. John Harbaugh has walked up to the media and said, I don't know what's going on. And he's kind of been like, oh, bah humbug. And finally, Lamar was like, that's enough. Let me tell you what's going on. Here is why I am not playing. I think he felt like they were trying to cast him as a dude that didn't want to be on the field with his team. So he said, I want to be on the field with my team. I want to play. The knee is unstable. The knee is swollen. It's very rare you hear a player get specific about his injury, grade 2, on the verge of grade 3, and then he doesn't make the trip. Unless Lamar Jackson or the Baltimore Ravens come out, which I don't expect, and say that flying was in some way going to impair him if they had won this game and he could have played next week, then that's an issue. Because when a quarterback says, I wish I could be out there for my team, that says to me, I want to be there for my team in any way.
Yeah.
And I've made a decision, or you've made a decision, to not allow me to lead. Right? Do you think if Tom Brady's not there for Tampa or can't be on the field, you don't want his leadership on the sideline? Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes? Well, this guy means that much to the Baltimore Ravens. So if he isn't there, that is a problem, and that's something that's going to have to be worked out in the offseason.
Listen, I mean, there's no other way to feel about this except, Rex, it feels like we're seeing the end. I mean, here's a young superstar. He won the Heisman at 19. He won the MVP of the league in his second year. They rebuilt the entire franchise around him. Does it feel like just that quickly it is over for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens together?
Yeah, I feel it is. And look, I said it week 1 when everybody was saying, well, let's trade Huntley. I'm like, nah, he might be the future. Everybody's like, you're crazy. Do I look crazy now? I'm going to say this. I know this organization well. All right, we've seen them do this. All right, we took Marquise Brown. Did they get a first-round pick for him last year?
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Orlando Brown? Did they get draft picks for him, including a first-round pick?
Yeah.
Even in the prime of his career? You're kidding me, Greeny. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing with Lamar Jackson, because you're going to get at least 2 first-round picks, maybe 3. I don't know, but you're going to get it. This organization has a business model. They stay with it. They don't compromise it. And the other thing they do, they value the draft picks. And they also develop players. That's what this organization does. And if I'm a bet man, I'm thinking that's going to happen.
If you're asking how does it work, it's a mechanism very similar to the sign and trade in the NBA. You put the franchise, what they would do is they would franchise tag Lamar so that they have all of the cards. He works out a deal with some other team. They work out compensation. It's basically what happened with Devontae Adams and the Raiders this offseason. Dan, final word on all of this.
Well, hearing you say that and hearing Rex say that, my mind immediately goes to Atlanta Falcons. If that's going to be the case and Baltimore is going to trade Lamar, man, it makes a ton of sense with the way that they are set up with their football team, and he would be a perfect fit organizationally, as much as I love Desmond Ridder. I think our C's point of not knowing the why is a big part of this equation. And the second thing I'll say is this, Greeny. It's really difficult to hear Sammy Watkins during the week say, man, I wish Lamar would be out here. I wish he'd find a way to hobble out there because we got a chance to win it. And then hear J.K. Dobbins last night say, if we had Lamar, we win that football game, and not think something's not right in that locker room. It certainly feels like there is a disconnect in that locker room when it comes to Lamar and everybody else. And I love Lamar, but that leaves a lot to be talked about this offseason, man.
Now, there isn't any question that there are questions going forward. Meanwhile, Cincinnati advances. We have much more to do coming off an unbelievable wild card weekend, which, is not anywhere near over.